Okay, well, with that, listeners, we are going to get into our first story of the day. As according to apnews.com, conspiracy theories are spreading online regarding the emergency alert test that will occur this afternoon, right? We are going to all get a scheduled emergency test alert around 2:20 p.m. today, Eastern time, our time.
I'm scared. Like, I'm scared. I kind of want to go into the student center for it, though.
I want to.
Why?
Why? Because imagine what the student center is going to sound like.
Oh, I want to like. I wish I scheduled something before where I get like a large group of people together
That's
at
what
like
the student
2:20.
center is.
Yeah.
That's a story.
No, I can understand why you say that, Riley, because according to this article, the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the FCC will alert TVs, radios, and smartphones with a test, like we said, scheduled for around 2:20 p.m. today. And with this news happening, with the scheduled test happening, people have taken to social media to promote the false notion of graphene oxide being activated in people's bodies, stemming from false information surrounding the COVID-19 vaccine. Stanley Perlman, a professor of microbiology and immunology at the University of Iowa, wrote in an email how, quote, graphene oxide is not in the mRNA-based vaccines for COVID-19 manufactured by Pfizer and Moderna. It was used to study vaccine structure only, and it is not part of the vaccine formulation. And Julia Greer, a professor of material science at California Institute of Technology, said the notion of graphene oxide being, quote, activated is nonsense. And this relates to just people, having this kind of privilege on social media to be, number one, protected by having the opportunity to conceal their real identities. And with that concealment comes the opportunity to gain a following. And it seems like with this scheduled nationwide thing, everybody is going to, experience this. And it seems like people want to jump on the bandwagon where they see a lot of people are going to, hear something at the same time. And it seems like they're trying to fill in some concern with some information. And it's maybe not necessarily correct.
Yeah. When I when you just read this, I thought of the SpongeBob movie where they all get all like that's the way it sounds like. These people think like we're all gonna hear a noise and then just like activate like this noise. It's just like for our safety to see if they could get like a widespread message out. And I don't think there's nothing more to it than that.
That's a great analogy, Alex. That's a great analogy. Yeah, I mean this like you said, really just relates to if something terrible were to happen, our federal emergency communication would be intact. That's what this kind of is about. And it's kind of unfortunate that people are taking advantage of it and trying to spread what they think will get people talking, right? And it seems like the experts in this field are about stepping in and saying, well, some of this may not be true, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a reminder. This is happening around 2:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it will be everything from cell phones, television, radio. So prepare yourself.
It probably will be really quite a loud noise at the same time.
Because like I don't know what it's gonna sound like.
I would assume it's probably
Screech.
it's a screech. It's probably,
I already know like the emergency alert sound.
Yeah,
It's just I just associate it with me just being little and just hiding under my blanket because there's just a loud noise.
That sounds so terrifying.
I mean, it gets your attention.
It is. No, it does. It does. And I'm curious to hear what that sounds like too. As the student center on campus is one of those places where a lot of traction, a lot of people going in and out throughout the day. It's gonna be really loud, and it's gonna be maybe really unsettling for a little bit. But like Joey, you were saying that's how the noise is, right? Like emergency gets your attention if something it's going bad. But this, like we said, is just. Can you please take us into our next story related to here in New Jersey?
I'm gonna turn my smile off here because we're getting into some serious news.
Mm.
Trans student rights at risk at some New Jersey, as some New Jersey school districts repel policies. 5 school districts in New Jersey have dropped their policies protecting privacy and accommodations of transgender students, and 4 more have taken the preliminary steps to do so. An action from the state's top law official said this creates a damaging free-for-all. The moves come as a State Attorney General Matthew Platkin, not Plankton, said Sundeep Iyer, Director of State Division on Civil Rights, pursue law against 4 school districts that passed policies requiring school staff to notify parents when their children request name changes and other gender-related accommodations. The policy offers crucial protections to Hanover Township's transgender students, including the right to use facilities and restrooms and be addressed by pronouns of the student's choice. Flatkin wrote, the repeal of policy 5756 will eliminate all of these critical protections. Flatkin said repealing the policy would leave no protections in place for transgender students at all, meaning that some staff may as well believe they are permitted to require to notify parents of students' gender identity or sexual orientation. Lisa Bomingo of Hanover Township Board President said Thursday, going forward, our school district will utilize our esteemed legal team for their guidance on how to support individual students on a case-by-case basis, rather than utilizing the overly broad and restrictive guidance governed by the 5756 policy when adopted. A survey of trans youth in the state attorneys cited and showed the difficulties they can encounter at home. 40% of trans youth who came out to their families received neutral or unsupportive responses, while 10% reported family members have been violent with them, and 15% ran away or were kicked out of their homes.
This is just so heartbreaking to hear about, especially since last semester at the Morning Buzz, we reported a lot about these trans rights bills being repealed in Florida. And, you think, well, so much is happening in Florida, like so many people's rights are being taken away. And you wouldn't think that Jersey would be doing this, especially since Jersey has been so progressive. They've been making so many moves in in rights for people
Sure.
and stuff. And yeah, I don't know, it's just really heartbreaking to see.
It's definitely true, Gwen, and thank you, Riley, for reading that story. This is definitely an issue where I'd say it's transformed itself into being one of those top issues related to our presidential election coming up next November, right? It's really a polarizing topic, certainly. A lot of people we've been hearing in the news, it can spark a lot of heated discussion with these school board meetings, with people representing the school and, parents being there as well. And I think you're really right when saying it really depends on the location of where these things are happening.
The executive director of Garden State Equality said that there are 600 districts and only a handful have dropped the policy. So it's better than statewide, but it's still sad to see that even here we're dropped. Some schools are dropping it.
Sure. I mean, and there's an interesting statistic that you read, Riley, from the article about how there's certain percentages of people who may be disowned or kicked out of their houses based on, who they feel they are. Right? And it's definitely, I think that represents some work that needs to be done regarding, how our minority groups, especially in our young people, are really treated, right? And because the well-being of everybody pretty much is really what should be taken into account when these moments in life are brought about when people's families, and the question is like, well, where can we go from here regarding like which school should we go to, or which one would be the best opportunity to provide our family with, what we need.
Especially since these especially since this issue doesn't just affect schoolwork, it doesn't just affect their life at school, it affects their well-being, it affects their life outside of school, it affects trans people completely. And it just, this at a school-wide level, with them excluding students and ostracizing them, it's just really creating such an unwelcome environment for these students that you would think that schools wouldn't want to be doing, since it's supposed to be such a safe space for students as they're growing up.
Yeah, and going off that one, it kind of depends on, I think, constituents of these districts as well, because with big concern about this topic is like, well, we have these people who are really maybe marginalized, and there's topics of like saying, well, should we change like documentation for our people who belong to this group? And it's just simple things like that where it goes back to what we were saying with the just polarization of this topic. Some people really hold their ground when it comes to simple things like changing things on a document, or just doing what is necessary to make sure these types of resources are here for these families, right? And it just goes back to the same idea where it really depends on how people want to exercise their right to vote, right? How do we want this future, for our marginalized communities to go about for the next 4 years in the perspective of the next presidential one coming up? And yeah, I mean, it goes back to what we were saying, like it's, I think we can all attest that sometimes school cannot be the best. It's not 100% perfect all the time, and especially if there are people who who seek education, depending on what level of education it is, and they don't feel like it's safe in those environments. It just goes back to saying, like, what can we do as, I mean, not none of us are parents here, but like, what can parents do, or educators, school administrators, to make sure they can provide just one of those types of experiences, even with all this really, really heavy polarization going on with this topic, right? And it's just going to be a matter of time before we see what happens with next year's election, because that's really where it counts with like our United States leadership, right? And in the balance of government. And with that, we are going to move into our next story, also related to our Garden State here, with some more Jersey Shore news. As according to NewJersey.com, with continuous rough waves along the Jersey Shore, portions of Wildwood's sand dunes have washed away from the tide being so high, threatening lifeguard buildings. One of the results from these things where these sand dunes being washed was tropical storm Ophelia, and the Wildwood mayor Patrick Rosanello made clear that there is zero dune. We've had 15 to 20 mile per hour winds, and the dunes at 15th Avenue in front of the beach patrol is completely gone. The New Jersey state government authorized the construction of a steel bulkhead surrounding the patrol, which estimated to be around $400,000, and is expected to be done at the end of this week. And Mayor Rosello said, quote, "If we don't have a bulkhead installed, you're going to have inundation into the town. That's when you start to see severe property damage. And if the patrol is damaged, it would cost upwards of $2 million. And I think this goes hand in hand with a story we covered here a couple of weeks ago related to Jenkins Boardwalk at Seaside Heights, I think. Yeah.
Seaside.
Yeah, that's actually where I saw Marissa this past summer.
Yeah, that's where you are.
I do work there. It's true.
So let me ask you, Marissa.
Mhm.
Did you experience like really high tide events when you were working there this summer? With people like changing where people can go or not?
Not really. I feel like the summer wasn't super I just didn't really experience many high tides. I know the high tides come really bad when it storms, and I feel like this summer wasn't very stormy
Yeah.
in Seaside.
Okay.
It had its moments,
I will
but
say, not to cut you off, but as someone who was in Wildwood for vacation, it was over there pretty bad.
Mm.
really,
Yeah.
Yeah.
My family and I went to Spring Lake, which is right next to the Belmar Beach. And oh my goodness, we were in the water and we were literally being dragged by the waves. And it's like, what is going on? So we covered here a couple weeks ago how Jenkins Boardwalk actually they shut that portions of it off. Like people couldn't go on the beach. They couldn't even walk on the sand because of these high winds and high tides, right?
yeah, I did hear about that. I don't think I was working there at that point, but because school started, I believe, by then. But I was hearing about it. I know that the waves and stuff were rougher this summer than usual, though.
No, that's definitely right. And we're definitely seeing with this article the consequences when that goes unchecked, right? Because it's like the article said, it would cost $2 million if lifeguard buildings were damaged potentially from the winds and the waves. And that seems like a really unnecessary cost to which can be easily avoided.
Yeah.
If you're building $2 million compared to $400,000, if you're like a government allocating money, why not just go with a $400,000 to build a protective thing around it?
Yeah, exactly. But I earlier this summer, me and my friends went to the beach and we were digging holes,
Yeah.
like
Where?
as you do. We were actually at Belmar
Oh, okay.
and we dug this really deep hole and I got in it and they filled it up to my neck. It was fun. But then while they were doing that, a police officer comes up to us on the beach and is like, you gotta fill the hole because there was such high tides that like most shore towns made like a law that you could only dig a hole like 1 foot deep, and ours was like 6 feet deep.
Oh my god.
It was pretty
Thunder?
exactly. Ours we like spent 2 hours digging this hole.
We will be
No,
discussing
right.
how this theater benefits the
Buses.
Monmouth State University community and what it has to offer.
And holiday season. With holiday season comes Mariah Carey because every
frosting.
he is the frosting.
Keep her
Yes.
in the queue.
Yes.
Thing I need and I-
With according to we have
Oh no.
according to variety.com,
She's defrosted.
she's getting ready for the holiday spirit as
Get it.
the singer revealed her Merry Christmas one and all tour, spreading holiday cheer across America that will begin in the middle of November. The tour will kick off in Highland, California on November 15th, the day after the day of the government extension. That's the government might be shut down again for that day if there's not another passing. But
Mariah
as well,
Carey to the rescue.
and she'll
Thanks, Mariah.
she'll also go to
First name
uh,
basis.
Chicago, Boston, Toronto, Detroit, and more. She'll finish off at Madison Square Garden in New York City on December 17th. In the caption of her announcement on the post on social media, Carey said, quote, "Yes, the actual defrosting has begun." Back in 2014, she kicked off the 6-night residency, All I Want for Christmas Is You, a night of joy and festivity at New York City's Beacon Theater. And last year, she filmed the CBS special Mariah Carey Merry Christmas to All during a performance at Madison Square Garden that featured appearances from Drew Barrymore and Billy Porter. Yeah, there is no at this point in our age, there is no really holiday season without Mariah Carey. There's just not.
Man, she's really just milking that frozen milk.
At least I like that she's at least kind of aware of the memes,
Yeah.
Like she even said it
That is-
herself, like that she was
Defrosting's happening,
defrosting,
yeah. That's true, Marissa. I mean,
Does she have more than one Christmas song? How do you
No.
make a Christmas tour? Does she just sing the song over and over for like an hour?
Like she maybe just sings like Christmas songs, but like I don't think she has more than this
No,
original.
she doesn't. But like, imagine like her hitting off was like "All I Want for Christmas" and then like actually performing her other music. Like, imagine hearing "All I Want for Christmas" and then all of a sudden she followed it up by like "Obsessed."
Yeah, I didn't
I would
know any
imagine,
other
though,
Mariah Carey song.
I would imagine at her concerts this year, this would probably be played in the encore or even at the end, right? I would imagine.
I would hope so. You can't start off with All I Want for Christmas.
No. That's the wrong way to do it. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Come on,
You
Mariah.
gotta go with a bang.
We're also on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly, Joey. That's right. You gotta show that. You gotta say the best for last. But yeah, I mean, I'm thinking like, just like yesterday, we were hearing her song again because it was It was like holiday season last year, but
It does happen yearly. You are right.
snap of a
Aiden.
finger. No, I'm saying like a snap of a finger. Snap of a finger. We're back here, right? Seems time goes by so fast,
Yeah.
but I mean, her song just kind of like naturally came back to just be part of our holiday spirit, you know?
It just slowly creeps in. Like I keep thinking, like, is it a bit early to be playing that song? I'm like, oh, it's
I
already
mean,
October.
It's October, but I mean, no. I mean, if it was in July, I'd say yeah.
I mean,
Right.
always have like the festive spirit like year round. Well, personally, I love Christmas, so like,
Yeah.
We're in the season of the best
Pretty much.
holiday right now. You
Next-
see the
Oh,
lights.
yeah.
What other holiday gets fun lights like this? Not
Christmas.
None.
Not
All.
Christmas.
I mean, we live in a fantasy world if we don't think this song is coming out this early. And that would be a wrap of that.
Well, I
Feels
mean,
similar.
definitely by a month from now, we will be hearing Mariah's song and probably some other songs on a regular basis.
we're probably gonna start hearing it as soon as now. People just like just get it out there for the sake of marketing.
I'll be singing it.
Same here. I will.
After that.
Yeah, but with holiday seasons, what happens with the holidays is also social media trends play a